Hello and welcome back to Stockhead's VCon on all things crypto. Next up, we're going to hear from Matt Willemsen, Head of Research and Content at Collective Shift.
Welcome. Thank you for tuning in. My name is Matt Willemsen. I'm head of research and content at Collective Shift, which is a cryptocurrency research firm and content provider for paid members based here down in Melbourne and with a membership that spans globally. Today, I want to be sharing with you my thoughts on the value of NFTs and where they are headed. I'm sure for those tuning in, you may not have you have likely seen the emergence of NFTs this year and are perhaps wondering what it's all about and whether it's just a flash in the pan or will be a kind of long-term asset class that's nested under this big umbrella of cryptocurrencies or crypto assets. Okay, so getting into what NFTs actually are, it's an acronym I'm sure you've seen all over the place, making headlines and such throughout 2021. So it's a very ugly term, and it's not really widely understood, which is why it's always presented in an acronym as NFT. So what it stands for is non-fungible token. So I told you it was a bit of an ugly term. So I wish it was a bit simpler, but that's what we can do in this session here. So non-fungible. So what is fungible? Fungible is a term. It comes from economics, the concept of fungibility. But really, for the sake of this session and what I really want you to take away is fungible. Just think of it as interchangeable or replaceable. So when something is described as fungible, think of it, it's replaceable. So it can be replaced by something else and the value attributed to it is essentially the exact same. So there is a common example used in fungibility is currency or cash. So a $2 coin that I have in my pocket, I could go down to the shops and use it to buy something like a bottle of milk or something. And it doesn't really matter if I have five $2 coins, for instance, and the milk bottle costs $2. It doesn't matter what $2 coin I use. It has the same value in the Australian economy, with the being a $2 Australian coin. It has the same purpose and the same value. So that's essentially what fungible means. And so that's the NF part of the NFT acronym kind of handled there. The I suppose the NF, so something that isn't fungible, therefore, is something that's unique. So if it can't be interchanged and can't be replaced one for one, that means it is inherently unique. So me and you watching, like whoever you watching this right now, like you are essentially non-fungible. It's just a weird adjective to use to describe you, obviously. But yeah, that's kind of I just wanted to break that down to help you understand. The token aspect is again a bit of a loose term. Token, just for the sake of this video, just think of that as a something that exists and isn't tangible. So it's something that exists digitally and can be used as essentially almost like a store of value that can be sent to and from people all around the world. So there's examples of tokens all around the world, really. They don't really need to be stored on a blockchain, but in the case of NFTs, they definitely are stored on a blockchain. So in many ways, you could argue Bitcoin or Ether, the native token of Ethereum, that is a token, but again, not just don't just think of token as something that's just for blockchains. So for NFT, that really, just to break it down and to put it simply, it is an NFT is a unique file that lives on the blockchain. So the real key terms, takeaways for you that I want you to understand is the term unique and the fact that it exists on a blockchain. So yes, we've seen an explosion in NFTs for over the past 6 to 12 months. Inevitably, with such strong growth comes roadblocks and speed humps. So I did want to just share with you the fact it's not all sunshine and rainbows really when it comes to, I guess, the outlook, the short-term outlook at least for NFTs. We are seeing a number of issues and things that could be done better. So I'll quickly go through them here. Scalability is one of them. So I'm sure perhaps in other talks as part of this conference, there have been focuses and a lot of focus and presentations on scalability because it is such a huge need for the whole crypto ecosystem at the moment. So what do I mean by scalability and why is it an issue for NFTs? So for you and me, the average people who want to maybe buy an NFT or they want to use an exchange, a decentralized exchange in order to get access to an NFT, that is just becoming prohibitively expensive for the average person, up towards, I think I tried the other week. It cost me about $80 US to mint an NFT. So that the process of doing that um, essentially is calling on the blockchain to make all these calculations, and that process of doing so is very expensive. And if that doesn't get improved, so how is that going to improve? It's going to be through scalability solutions, which are coming online basically as of today, slowly being rolled out. So in the case of Ethereum, which Ethereum is essentially the blockchain upon which the vast majority of the NFT ecosystem is living on. So yeah, all your marketplaces and all that, most of them are trading, have listed NFTs that are built on Ethereum or deployed on Ethereum. So some examples of layer two scaling solutions that are being rolled out at the moment are Optimism and Arbitrum. So for the sake of this video, you don't really need to know how that works, but I guess the promise of them is to make transactions a lot cheaper for everyday users. And that will, if that gets solved, then everyday retail investors will be able to get greater access to the NFT ecosystem and participate in it. And just secondly, quickly, the development of the ETH2 or Ethereum 2.0, which is coming more probably in 2022 and beyond. There are a bunch of scalability, methodologies that are going into ETH2, which is very groundbreaking work, but it requires a lot of R&D, which unfortunately isn't available today. So another huge, or not a huge, but an area that could be done better, in my opinion, is just the user experience of getting involved in the NFT ecosystem. So there are several wallets, several steps rather, that you need to, an average person who isn't involved in the crypto space, they need to do that before obtaining their first NFT. So that would involve getting set up with a wallet. So a wallet is a term you'll often see in the crypto space, that it's just that you need a wallet in order to participate in the whole crypto universe, really. A wallet looks after what's called your private keys, and essentially you are the owner of those private keys, and owning those private keys, I guess, lets you make transactions. So the more steps that are required to set up your wallet, and perhaps like put in some of your fiat money, like Australian dollars, and then purchase your first NFT. There's still quite a few steps, and it is a bit clunky still, that user experience. Also, just briefly, there's a lot of scam activity happening in the NFT space. So just like anything with technology, I guess scammers and malicious actors go wherever the value and attention is going. So inevitably scammers were going to arrive in the NFT space, and they have in a big way in the past like few weeks, especially just thinking of more complex ways to I guess trick people into handing over their private keys or their wallet, seed phrases, for example. So that's something that will need to be that will constantly be a challenge for NFTs as it keeps growing. And just finally, there's a shortage of quality smart contract developers. As I'm sure it's probably going to be covered in other conferences, other presentations at this conference. There's just a dearth of talent, readily available talent for really competent and quality smart contract developers. Promisingly, there is a lot of university courses that are now releasing blockchain development courses. So that's been happening for the past 2 or 3 years. There's several in Australia, such as RMIT and Monash and Swinburne, that all have blockchain centers. So that's very promising. But in terms of right now, what is needed in the NFT space, that's still those students are going to still have to come through and learn. So that lag effect probably won't really tick in until next year and the years after that. And just to keep in mind, the smart contract developers, NFTs are just one use case for smart contracts. So those competent and those best students might go into other areas such as, decentralized finance or scalability, research and development, or DAOs, or as I'm sure is covered in other presentations, decentralized autonomous organizations. So there's a lot of competition and a very big labor shortage, which is going to be a problem. In terms of what's next for NFTs and the opportunities that are coming up, and what I see being the next wave coming in the NFT space is what are called access to NFTs. So one of the huge benefits, again, of having that cryptographically provable ownership, as I covered earlier, these access NFTs, by holding an NFT, you will get access to restricted content or communities. So think of it almost like how there's paywalled content on a news media publication, for example. You can imagine a scenario perhaps where you own the NFT issued by that publication, and when you do log into when you do click on a certain link that's by that provider, it'll automatically recognize that you hold that token, and therefore, because you hold that token, that page will load and you'll be able to see it. So same thing with like Discord communities and YouTube content, SoundCloud. Just holding that token will give you access to that content, and more powerfully, in my opinion, access to social groups, which is very, very exciting. Continued uptake I'm expecting of big name brands. So we know that Louis Vuitton is an example of a company that's really working in the NFT space, and applying NFTs to almost some games recently. And really just again an opportunity to build their brand and build their loyalty and get more engagement with their consumers. Sports organizations, such as US Tennis Association, which we saw really have a big NFT launch for the US Open that was just on recently. Why are all these sports organizations doing this? It's the same reason, just to build more engagement with their fans, where their fans can purchase NFTs of maybe an AFL club that they really have a strong affinity to, and they can I guess bond and connect more with the club, and that's ultimately what is driving up fan engagement, and it's the big opportunity, I guess, from these sporting organizations' perspective of what NFTs can provide. And just finally, a greater overlap with decentralized finance is something that is inevitably just going to be a greater intersection or more convergence of NFTs with decentralized finance, which again, I'm sure is covered in another talk at this conference. But the ability for NFTs to be put down as collateral, for example, and in order to borrow, stable coins, and then I think is or something we're already starting to see, and it's inevitable that those two, the ability to do that is just going to be made possible. And just finally, the fractionalization of NFTs is something as well that we're starting to see, where a really expensive NFT, such as one that's worth $200,000, can be fractionalized. And then essentially there can be bidders that own those fractional parts of that NFT, and then they can then have all these benefits, such as joining a community, and things like that. So from an investor's standpoint, I definitely think NFTs are here to stay. And there's so many ways that you can gain exposure to NFTs, whether that's investing directly in them, such as buying NFTs that, yeah, you think will accrue value, or you can also gain exposure by investing in the tokens that are native to NFT marketplaces. So this is something that we cover, yeah, day in, day out, for our members. And yeah, it's in addition to other areas, of course, in the crypto space. But I hope that this presentation was brought you up to speed and gave you a sense of what's possible with NFTs and where kind of this trend is going. I certainly believe NFTs are here to stay, and we'll just continue to see greater applicability moving forward in the coming months and years. And yeah, I'm definitely excited to monitor the progress and continue to share my opinions on where things are going. So thank you for tuning in, and take care.